Today, we are diving into one of history's most incredible and most overlooked military victories. It's an amazing story about how a warrior queen brought the world's greatest empire to its knees. And that is not an exaggeration. We're talking about Emperor Augustus Caesar, the first, and you could argue, the greatest emperor of Rome. Back in 25 BC, his supposedly invincible war machine was brought to a dead stop by the armies of Kush, led by a truly formidable warrior queen. And this is how she did it.
So our story really kicks off with this incredible artifact, the Meroe head. In 1910, archaeologists were digging in modern-day Sudan, deep in what was the capital of the ancient Kingdom of Kush, and they unearthed this larger-than-life bronze head of Augustus, hundreds of miles south of the Roman border. So the question was obvious. How on earth did it get there?
Well, this wasn't just some discarded trophy. No, this was a calculated act of psychological warfare. The Kushites took this symbol of Roman power, dragged it all the way to their capital, and then deliberately buried it under the entrance to their Temple of Victory. For years, every single person who entered, priests, royals, visitors, would ritually crush the Emperor of Rome under their heel.
So, how did Rome explain this? As you might expect, they spun a very different tale. In the official Roman version of events, this wasn't a war they lost. Oh no, it was just a minor punitive expedition on a slightly troublesome frontier.
The Roman historian Strabo gives us the typical imperial view. He just dismisses the Kushite army as disorganized and even mocks their leader, Queen Amanirenas, as a masculine, one-eyed woman. It's a classic case, right? An empire underestimating an opponent they refuse to see as an equal. But that missing eye, get this, she lost it in battle, a testament to her courage.
According to the Romans, the story is simple. In 25 BC, the Kushites raid Roman territory. A year later, the prefect Petronius leads a legion south, pushes them back, sacks one of their cities, and sets up a new, stronger border. A quick, decisive Roman victory. End of story. But it's not the whole story.
To understand what really happened, we have to understand who the Romans were actually fighting. This wasn't some minor tribe on the frontier. No way. This was the mighty Kingdom of Kush.
You see, the Romans totally misunderstood Queen Amanirenas. Her title, Kandake, wasn't her name. It was an office of supreme power. She also held the title Kore, which means sovereign ruler. In Kush, the right to rule actually passed down through the female line. She wasn't a regent, she was the state, and she was backed by its full military and religious might.
This really shows you the real strategic picture. Kush was not the underdog everyone thought. Technologically, yeah, Rome had standard iron, but Kush, they had developed high-grade steel smelting, and their goals were completely different. Rome just wanted to squeeze taxes from a quiet border. Kush was fighting for its very existence.
And Kush had some serious advantages. Their capital, Meroe, was an industrial engine, just churning out high-carbon steel. Their archers were legendary, equipped with arrows that could punch right through Roman armor. And Queen Amanirenas knew her terrain inside and out, using scorched earth tactics to lure overextended Roman legions into an absolute desert nightmare.
So, the fighting on the ground might have been a brutal stalemate, but this war was ultimately won at the negotiating table. And the final peace treaty, well, it's the undeniable proof of who truly came out on top.
After years of fighting, Queen Amanirenas sent envoys to Augustus himself. They didn't come begging. They came with a bundle of golden arrows and a message of pure strength, not submission. If you want peace, they are a token of friendship. If you want war, you are going to need them.
The terms of the treaty Augustus signed were just unprecedented. Standard Roman practice was annexation, heavy tribute payments, and permanent garrisons. Kush got the exact opposite. They were recognized as a sovereign power, there was a full Roman withdrawal, and then there was the most stunning concession of all. 0. That is the amount of tribute Rome demanded. For an emperor who built his entire reputation on filling the state treasury, waiving all tribute from a kingdom rich in resources was basically a silent admission of defeat. The war was unwinnable, and the cost was just too damn high.
And this victory wasn't just some temporary reprieve. It fundamentally reshaped the balance of power in the region and ensured that the golden age of Kush could continue, free from Roman domination.
300 years. That's the real legacy of the Treaty of Samos. Queen Amanirenas didn't just win a battle, she secured generations of peace and prosperity for her people. The border she established, it remained stable for centuries.
So while the Romans were writing their version, the Kushites were writing theirs in stone
and in paint. The Hammurabi stela gives their account of the war. Temple frescoes proudly display bound Roman prisoners. And their royal art consistently shows the queen as this divine, unconquerable force, literally crushing her enemies.
You know, we only know these details through archaeology, and by reading between the lines of biased Roman sources. The Kushites' own written language, Meroitic, remains largely undeciphered. The incredible story of Queen Amanirenas was almost lost to us. It just makes you wonder, what other victories are still out there, waiting to be discovered, hidden in a history we haven't yet learned how to read?